Hey guys, Bowie here, and today we're going to talk about using Chronosphere, but consider the same thing as how to use Throw Ult, Omnislash, Eclipse, Like Note. Carries rely on these big abilities, and one thing that drives me crazy, even in mortal games, is how people are seemingly unaware on how to effectively use those spells so carries can buy more time for themselves and their team. We're only using 23 Savage Replays for this video because he just recently got to 10k MMR, and he lost no Void games this week, so I think he's pretty sharp when it comes to this guy. I'll start the video with a mid-game Chrono, but we'll talk about lane Chronos as well. This is not an easy game for Savage. He died twice already, mostly because he was against the Timber Sowing lane, and they had no kill potential in him, and a lot of carries would be in damage control mode. I won't TP to any fights unless it's a sure kill, I want to finish my items, and yeah, Savage is not actively looking for fights or anything, but obviously because he cannot get them. But watch the mini-map now. He sees 3 heroes showing, so he knows he's relatively safe here, and then his team starts going mid after having that vision. Quickly, Savage starts hovering at the fight and he walks through it. Lower MMR carries have the inability to walk up to fights, and we will talk about the benefits of saving your TP, but I want you to realize that a very poor Void is walking from a lane that has free creeps into the mid lane. By doing this, he saves his TP, yes, he gets there in time after Glimpse and Static Storm were used, so he can first use Time Walk, then Time Dilation to dam Chronosphere, making sure all of his allies can use spells, but also he uses Chrono when his entire team is fighting. When your team commits to a fight as 4 and you have your ult as a carry, there are very few times when you shouldn't assist, because if you don't and everyone in the game uses their ults, you just lost a timing that will never come back. If we go back the clock a little bit, you can clearly see that his team would get the tower and a kill without his rotation, and he could keep farming, right? But by actively rotating when his team is together, he gets much more out of it. And since Dire already used some cooldowns, this means he can farm during a long time as well. Another great rotation Savage pulls off this game is the Chronosphere following the one we just saw. He keeps farming the top area of the map really aggressively because he has vision of 3 heroes and Radiant doesn't have a lot of catch. At this stage, TPing is very likely a bad option since his Chrono is not up and he is really close to the Fusel Blade, but watch how he never goes back to the jungle since literally everyone is showing. So he hits the tier 2, but he's also watching the fight because Dire starts to get really low. At first, 2 Radiant heroes died, but because he was insistently hitting this tower, he slowly gathers the attention of a Dire supported TPs in hopes to stop him from claiming the tower, which he does. But everything is a trading Dota, and look what happens. Chrono is not up just yet, but Batrider respawned, Tiny is not mid, Burning Army was used when he was watching mid, so he can easily engage to kill TA with Chrono. And since his diffusal is coming, he can also get clinks. This is a different scenario entirely. In the first clip, he runs to make sure his team takes a 5 vs 5, and in this one, he forces someone top, so that even though they have dead heroes, the -1 and effect Dire already use of their spells is enough for Radiant to stand a chance. In this other game, Savage is against an offlane Grandma. She's quite a tanky hero, so for this kill, he calls his Lash Rack for his lane. Watch how he tanks the creeps here to make sure Radiant has no vision of the pony hiding, and then they go for a kill. And yeah, they get the kill, but why didn't he rotate bottom? Offlane Grandma kill doesn't look that appetizing, and there's a couple of reasons for it. The first one is their lane, PL plus Oracle, is pretty hard to kill. Not only the magic immunity or disarm from Fate's Edict can make the kill very hard, PL is slippery, and Savage was really low in HP, so using TP when you're that low to go for a kill can feel awful, because if he dies, he loses a lot of farm after it because he doesn't have a TP to go anywhere. The Chrono following this one is also important, but more importantly than that is the move Savage goes for it. PL TP's top when his Chrono is almost ready, but here's the thing, he's alone top and he has an offlane Lash as we already talked about. The heroes top are hard to kill, so what he does? He TPs bot in groups with his Lash, while he sees heroes mid. There's no way for Radiant to save bot, and even if they try, he has the threat of the Chrono, so he makes use of PL's TP, not for a kill, but a tower this time, knowing full well Grandma plus PL doesn't trade a tower nearly as fast as they do. Deciding whether a fight is worth it or not can be really hard. As Savage farms this camp, he quickly realizes that PL is showing top and he forced Grandma to be bot. As that happens, a fight brews mid, but he realizes Burning Army was used prior to Chrono, and Radiant doesn't seem to be that low, especially because a TP mid will take a long time. Still though, Radiant keeps being aggressive, and he realizes Oracle is level 5 while heroes group up. That said, 0.2 seconds before his TP is ready, he gives up on it, mainly because Grandma TP'd and ulted. Yeah, Radiant is low, but they have almost no follow-up damage with Klink's dead, and that Mortimer's kills will more than likely hit him as he Chronos, making that fight pretty hard and risky. Seconds later though, and knowing that Radiant spent all of his ult and resources middle, he realizes that PLTP is bot. He also uses Doppelganger when Savage confronts him a bit. When that happens, he knows he can identify the right PL since he cannot dispel time dilation, and the end result is marvelous because not only he kills PL by using the info gathered around the map and the outplay with time dilation, but he forces the entire Dire team bot and they kill some extra heroes after it. The next chrono is similar to one we already talked about, but I feel like it's the most important type of chrono and ult because players just refuse to walk to fights. So here we go. Savage is mid, a fight breaks out bot. Believe it or not, he doesn't kill this creep, so he walks up to the fight, and as he aggressively time walks to the fight, he notices key things happening. False Promise gets used, but even still, he doesn't chrono as he reaches the fight. See how he uses time dilation? Not initiating fights with Chrono has a lot of benefits. One of them is that even without Fusel Blade, you can use time dilation to feel the fight a little bit and maybe kill people that were not worthy of your Chrono. Void Spirit outplays him a little bit, but since he saved Chrono, Void Spirit cannot help anyone, giving him a twofer. Okay, so here we go again. Another game, another Chrono on cooldown, another fight away from 23 Savage, and what is he doing? Walking to it. But Bowie, he didn't chrono this time. Yeah, you're right, but Radiant spent Sonic Wave, Burning Army, and they defended mid, which means he now created a window, he's super strong, and you know what happens afterwards? His team groups up middle, Glyph is used, but watch how Savage doesn't show. By not showing, Radiant thinks they might be able to defend mid even though Burning Army is down, and by being proactive in the way he plays, he gets a triple kill in the tower. Now, to maybe create a better understanding of what walking to a good fight and a bad fight looks like, we can use this replay. Savage sees two heroes bot hitting his tower, and his team finds a Juggernaut not super far away from where he is. Why isn't he running to that fight if they have the numbers advantage and Chrono is up? Well, just look at where they are fighting versus some of the other fights we talked about. Do you see any difference? The main difference is that in every fight Savage walked to Chrono, they were either fighting for an objective or defending one. If Radiant wins a fight in that high ground, which is quite unlikely, since there's an outpost and a tier 2 for other heroes to TP and they have no vision there, the time that they will spend to walk to the tier 1 top and push the creeps to the tower is going to equal the respawn timer of Dire, and so they're spending abilities for nothing. And this is why Savage keeps hitting the tower and even after a juggler kill, seems quite apprehensive to join, instead slowly but surely gets the tier 1. Seconds after that, we can see a good example of Chrono not being used again that is worth talking about. Lich is level 7, and we just saw him using his ult in the clip. So he's worth nothing here, and Lich just go down with no cares in the world, so he has no idea Savage is farming this camp. Not only he doesn't use Chrono, but he also doesn't use Time Walk. A lot of players are too keen on using that to initiate fights sometimes, allowing them to get this kill, but more importantly, a core kill with Chronosphere seconds after that. We saw Savage playing aggressively in this exact point, either top if he's Radiant or bot if he's Dire, whenever he had vision of heroes showing, and this can give him kills because people are going to TP and defend that tower, and so he can TP somewhere else, or he can burst people if he knows he can actually get the kill fast enough. So Lina shows up bottom, and Savage quickly TPs to 8, but I think he misclicks the outpost instead of the mid tier 1, and since Lina dies too quickly, he stops the TP. Not only he has great vision top, no one else was showing, so the TP was probably going to be a waste. Because he stays pressuring top, look what happens once that same Lina respawns. He can see Omni being used and a lot of heroes in that other area, and because of this ward, he sees Lina TPing. Watch what this madman does. Instead of going somewhere else because he knows Lina is there, he goes in with strength treads, knowing he's not gonna be bursted. A lot of heroes are showing mid while this is happening, and his Void Spirit probably communicated that he's going top. And even though usually this is a super risky chrono, because of the vision mid and the fact that he also chronos the tier 2 to prevent damage to him, this ends up being an easy kill. and this is the final replay we're gonna touch upon. Void E6 versus a Void Spirit, but he's kinda low, and Void Spirit is not an easy kill because of Astral Step, and watch what's going through his mind right now. He sees Shaker using Echo mid, not killing his Shadow Fiend. He also sees Void Spirit with no mana, so he's not going mid, he's going base to regen. Some mid heroes are really good at bursting people inside Chrono. Quap, Shadow Fiend, Clinks, and what he does, knowing he is faring a salve right now, is he pushes this wave, TP is mid, and because of this sentry, he knows he can wrap around without Dire knowing. Even though Shaker TP'd back mid, he sees Shaker going for a D-ward here, and sees the Void Spirit indeed walked base and TP'd bottom, allowing him an easy Chrono in rotation. Because carry players are too safe and they pretty much just expect perfect Chronos and fights to be the norm, they are incapable of using their spells to create chaos, get kills, and then get time to farm. By using some of these constants we talked about, I'm sure you can become a better player yourself. Just stop being a little passive. Guys, thank you for watching, commenting, and subscribing. If you're interested in getting coached, make sure to DM me on Twitter to get all of the rates. If you want to get better at Dota 2, maybe you're not comfortable playing Dota by yourself, we have a Discord channel with a ton of people that are pretty cool. So in case you want to meet people from all around the world that love the same game that you do, check this out. We also have a Patreon, maybe check our rewards in case you enjoy the content we're outputting here. And finally, if you want to watch me play or stream, check my Twitch channel. I'm trying to stream there as much as I can. Thank you a lot, guys, and bye.